Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Gus, I'm from Crystal Marketing, and in today's presentation we'll be covering Facebook remarketing, which can be a very powerful way to build trust with your prospective students. And where would that actually sit in the marketing process? Well, first, um, you would attract prospective students to visit your website. Then you have all kinds of content there to educate them about what you have to offer, what it's like to study at your institution. But at some point, sooner or later, people will actually leave your website. And unless you have been able to collect their email address, then you could send them emails. But otherwise, you are at their grace to to hope that they come back to your website, unless you have planned to follow up with them. And Facebook remarketing is one way in which you can follow up after people have visited your website. So what we'll be discussing in this presentation is, first of all, why should I even care about this? Second, I'll show an example of Facebook remarketing in action, and then we'll go into the detailed steps of how to set it up. Now, this doesn't require any advanced coding. It may require you to get access to tools that you don't have access to, so it's not always super easy, but it's definitely doable, and it's not something so complicated that it really requires an agency to be involved if that's not something that you're able to afford or to plan for. But of course, it helps a lot if you know what the steps are and what you need to have in place to do it. So we'll cover that as well. So why care about Facebook remarketing? Well, repetition builds trust, and you see two examples here. Coca-Cola understands this very well. That's why they spend so much money on advertising. That's why you see their logo everywhere. And people's brains simply work like this: that if they see something time and time again, it becomes normal. It becomes part of their normal environment. And if they had any resistance to it, then um, simple repetition will make that resistance go away. The same thing, you see it with politicians everywhere. They will have their face around in as many places as possible, because just by seeing someone's face over and over again, that person becomes, it's no longer really a stranger, it is someone you really know. And so retargeting can achieve the same thing. So instead of uh, trying to reach 1,000 people and get them to do something, it's much more powerful to focus on the 200 that are most likely to take action and plan for 5 interactions. Um, Now, you may be doing this with emails, but emails alone often get ignored, especially when people are in the process of applying for or searching for their next course. They may be in touch with several universities and fill in several forms, and so their mailbox may explode and they may just not even open your email. But if they're on Facebook and scrolling through their feed, then that's another chance to get seen. If they do open their email, then it's still more powerful, because you get the chance to deliver the same message twice. And so all of this leads to high conversion rates. That means that, out of the smaller audience that you reach, um, these people are more likely to take action because you have shown a few times and they've had time to process what you can offer, and eventually they may click one of the ads, or they may come back to your website and they can take the next step. Um, Another reason to care about Facebook remarketing is that in terms of ad budget, so the money that you give to Facebook to display your ads, it's very minimal. And why is that? It's because large campaigns always reach out to larger groups of people, out of which you hope that perhaps this person here and this person here and this person here will click your ad, but you're paying to display your ad to this entire group of people, out of which many will not really be in the market for what you have to offer. Whereas remarketing looks more like this. So these are people who have already visited your website, and that is a very clear indication of interest. You could even look at people who visited a specific page, and if you show these people a specific message, then they are much more likely to take action. But you're only paying for this small little group and not for this mass, because Facebook will in the end will charge you based on how many times an ad displays. That's why it becomes very cost effective. Yet for these people, it looks like you are having a huge campaign going, because they may see your ads in several places, or they may see several ads over say a week's time. So it's maximum impact at minimum expenditure. Another reason to have remarketing in your mix is that it can, to a certain extent, replace in-person interactions. So if you design your messaging carefully, then your Facebook ads that you create can touch on questions that you frequently get. And instead of people reaching out to you, they will actually see those advertisements on Facebook. They may click on the link, they may have a look at your website again, and they may read about it themselves. And that leaves you more time, not just answering basic level types of questions from people who are really still at the beginning of their decision journey, and free up time for prospective students who are really ready to decide, and where you can really make an impact, make their choice easier, um, which is just a much more valuable use of staff time. Another big advantage is that you can build on what you already have. Most universities already have certain types of campaigns going, perhaps even campaigns going on Facebook. So when we talk about Facebook remarketing, it doesn't have to be completely separate from other campaigns that you are already doing. You can just add an ad set that has, that will be showing to people who visited your website, and it can be part of a much larger campaign, which means that there isn't much extra work involved. There isn't necessarily a need to create a separate budget or approval. And it goes even further than this. If you have good articles and photos and videos already, then you would use those to create your ads. So we'll talk about how to do this later on. For example, many universities have a big library of interesting YouTube videos, sometimes stories from their students, about how it is like to join a degree at your institution, or how it's like to live in this city. And many times they are viewed very few times. So it makes a lot of sense to make sure that people who express some interest by visiting your website get to see these videos when they are scrolling through Facebook, when they have some time to kill. And that means you don't necessarily have to create a lot of new content, and that also makes it fairly easy to implement. So what really happens when you set up a Facebook remarketing? The first step would be that the prospective student visits your website. On your website, you will have installed a little piece of code that is called a Facebook Pixel. The Facebook Pixel connects the website to Facebook, so that when someone who is logged in on Facebook on their phone or on their computer or on their iPad, when they visit your website, Facebook will take note of that and add this person into your audience. So Facebook knows this person, and Facebook has recognized that they have visited your website, and now in your Facebook advertisement account, they will add this person to your audience. Then all you need to do is to design ads and set up Facebook so that it shows them to this audience that it is creating every time someone visits your website. And we'll come back to how to actually do this. So here are two examples of Facebook remarketing ads that we have set up. The first one was for British Council Singapore, and they have a website where people can register for the IELTS test. So these are already people who are looking at dates and prices and availability, but sometimes, many times, they do not sign up immediately. Also because the website is fairly hard to reach, fairly hard to use. So what we did is when we had upcoming available sessions, then we would create an ad, and we would have the date there and also the location. We will put something relevant about the location, and we would retarget that to people who visited the website. Now, since Singapore is fairly small, we have experimented with showing this to everyone who visited the website, but also to people who are near that location. And so we really serve a notification that, hey, people might not realize it, but we know that they have been looking at IELTS tests, and we just chew it down to the essentials. Here is the time, here is the date, follow this link to register. And this has actually led to an 8% increase in market share for British Council. Another one that we've recently set up is for Chinese language school called eMandarin. And what we wanted to do here is to give people a look at what happens when you join a Chinese class, which can be quite scary. So we videoed one of the students while she was taking a lesson, and then it has a testimonial on there as well. So people who visited the website will later on see this video in their Facebook feed. Okay, so now it's time to get into how to actually do this. How do you set this up? So the first thing you need to do is to see if your website is already set up with a Facebook pixel. Many universities are already set up with a Facebook pixel, and many are not. So it's about 50-50, I think. And how do I know that? I know that because I have this Facebook Pixel Helper plugin installed on my browser. So if you use Chrome, what you do is you go to chrome.com/webstore, and you search for Facebook Pixel Helper, and you simply it will tell you here add to Chrome, but of course we have already installed this ourselves. And what will happen then is that you will see this little icon on your browser, and when a Facebook pixel is installed, it will light up blue, and it will actually tell you what types are installed. So if you download it and you see this on your university website, then you know that somewhere there is already a Facebook account that is likely connected to this pixel, and you don't have to install this yourself anymore. But if this shows gray, then you would need to go to Facebook for Business, which is a bit out of the scope of this presentation. But you go to Facebook Power Editor, and and you look for pixels, and then you click on this green button here, create a pixel. And just a disclaimer, Facebook is always changing its interface. At times, different people even see different interfaces because they are testing new features. So it may not exactly look like I show now, but it should be fairly similar. So you may have to look around a little bit. And when you have clicked this green button, then Facebook will generate some lines of code for you. These code will need to be added in your website, And this is different for every website. So for example, in WordPress, you can go to settings and then header and footer, and then you can insert the pixel code here. So between the head and the end of head. But if you're not familiar with this, if you're not technical, there's a technical person or team that is managing your website. It's best to actually get the code and email it to them and request for them to insert it in the head of every page on the website. Or perhaps they will want to do this whole process of setting up the pixel for you. So when that's been done, then you should see the pixel logo here, and that will confirm that everything is set up properly. Then the next thing that you want to check is you want to go back to pixels, and now it won't give you this error message that there is no pixel, but it will start to give you some statistics to tell you that the pixel is active. Now this may take a little while to happen. First, some people will have to visit your site, and then there may be a time lag of a few hours, and after that you would have to see that it's active and you see activities. At least you're seeing page views um, on the site. That is your sign that the technical end of the setup is correct. Now what you have to do is you have to define an audience. So you go to audiences, and then to custom audience. You create audience, custom audience, and you say website traffic. Create a list of people who visited your website or took specific actions using Facebook Pixel, which we have just set this up. There is several things you can do, um, but basically what you will do is you say include people who meet any of the following criteria. So from this pixel they visited specific web pages in the past. You could say 4 days, you could say 7 days, or 30 days. You can create more than one audience. So in this case, we've created an audience for people who have visited any web page from eMandarin um, in the past 4 days. And then we created another one that covers a larger period, people who visited the page in the last 8 days. You create the audience. As the next step, you will have to create an ad set, and the ad set determines your budget, which ads are going to be displayed, and who are they going to be shown to. Then so once you have clicked create ad set, this is what you'll see. You can insert here that you want to have the 4 days audience show. That will define that the people who saw your website in the past 4 days will see the ads that are going to be put into this set. You could add another group. For example, if you have one message that you first want to show and then another advertisement that you want to show in the next 4 days, then you could add the 8 days audience and you exclude people from the 4 days audience. And this will give you, two different messages that you can show to the same people in sequence. Locations, since these are already people who visited your website, we have Singapore here, but you may want to not specify a location, or if you're not really, you know that you get a lot of inquiries from certain countries and they are seldom relevant, then you could actually exclude. So you can click this box and you can actually exclude these countries so that the remarketing ads only show in other countries. Or if you're only interested in recruiting students in specific countries, or for example, if you're creating ads that are really only relevant to the Netherlands, for example, then you could you could put this as the Netherlands, and you could then have another ad set which targets other countries than the Netherlands. So this is kind of endless, but in this case, the first important thing is to get started and have something going. Now, it's very powerful to have videos in your advertisements. So how do you download them? You find the video. Let's say that you have a video on YouTube. You go to that video on youtube.com, and it doesn't show the entire URL here, but you need to get the entire URL of the page on which your video is showing. Then you go to onlinevideoconverter.com and you select the first option, convert a video link. You add the link here, and as a format you choose MP4, and then you hit start. And then it will take a little while, and you'll see some horrible ads, but after downloading and converting is done, you can push the download button, and then you will download this as a file, a 52.5 megabyte file. Then you go back to Facebook Ad Manager, and you go to the ad set which you have just set up, and then you create an ad. So let's say that this is for the first 4 days. You hit create ad, you select ad with an image or video, and then if you scroll down further, you'll see the video here. So you can have a chance to upload the video that you just downloaded, and then you fill in the other fields, so the URL that you want people to go to as a, let's say, as a learn more. I mean, many people will just view the video, but perhaps you also have a link to a written story about this, or about a specific course or department that you're talking about. And then here is the text that goes above the video. Text is watch Camille Theron talk about her continuing journey. It's over here. Then headline would be what goes below the video, and there is still a small description below. So you fill in, you kind of, for those people who don't directly watch the video, it really helps to provide some context. So that's the whole presentation. Here are some resources. If you want to download this as a presentation, then you can find it at bit.ly//slideshare-facebook-remarketing. Feel free also to find me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. And should you have further questions, then I'm happy to have a quick phone call with you. You can find out when I'm available at this website, crystalmarketing.agency/10 minutes calendar. I'm happy to talk to you. Thanks for your attention, and goodbye.